little magic envelope that they have that before, again, what do we think it is? Before Sunday singles or before the event?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was last night. I read a little bit about it. It is before the event they make this decision. So you don't get to see how your guys are playing. You got to basically, once your team is picked, who's my 12th guy, you put him in the envelope.
Each captain writes a name in an envelope, and if a golfer cannot go on Sunday singles due to injury, they open up the envelope. That whatever name is in there, they basically say that's the match. Half point gets decided, gets allocated to each player. This has happened now 3 times in Ryder Cup history. It does not come into play a lot. This gave people on the internet a lot of fits, Greg, because the argument is, wow, hold on, Victor Hovland withdrew basically, and he still gets half a point. So we can discuss whether or not this is a good rule or not, whether this needs to exist, but that is the rule.
It's very much the rule. And I think this really just embodies the spirit of the Ryder Cup, which it's so easy to forget now that this is an exhibition. Right? It's an exhibition. It was designed to grow the game and bring the pros from Europe here to play in America and vice versa. And it's so far from that now. You walk around where you are right now, Rick. I've never seen an exhibition that has a media center like the one you're in right now.
Yeah.
I've never seen an exhibition with a stadium that literally looks like a lot of college football stadiums. Maybe not in the SEC, but there are college football stadiums with that number of seats in them. And that's just on one hole. So it's an incredible build out for an exhibition, but this is the rule, and it's part of the captain's agreement before they start.
Correct.
And I don't know. I don't know if it's fair or unfair. I think it'd be really disappointing. Like if there's an injury in football, it's a timeout. Only in certain cases is the timeout on the team. There are injury timeouts that are allowed throughout the game that don't count against you as a timeout. And maybe that's not the best analogy here, but it is fair. In this case, it was really bad for the Americans.
Right. So I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I tweeted this out, and yes, this is an exhibition, and I don't mean that from the sense of like no one takes it seriously. I think everybody takes it incredibly seriously, but from the PGA of America's standpoint, this is an exhibition. So I liken it to Major League Baseball's All-Star game. When you send your pitchers or your players to that All-Star game, you want them returned without injury. You want them returned in the same way that they came with. So the PGA of America probably put this rule in place however many decades ago, thinking, okay, we don't want a guy who might be a little bit injured trying to play through it, making it worse, and now you're impacting his touring career, right? You want to return them back to the tour, their respective tour, in the same fashion they arrived at the Ryder Cup. So this little rule was put into place to try to avoid that. It is not used very often. You could argue whether it's a good rule or a bad rule. A lot of people act like, okay, who knows? If Victor Hovland plays, maybe he wins the whole point. They act like this is like a gift of a half a point to Victor Hovland for being hurt and the Europeans for being hurt. It's like maybe he plays through it and he just wins the whole point, right? Like who knows what happens?
Yeah, it's a good point.
And of course, it only comes into play when that half point gets you 2 points. I mean, that's when it becomes a big deal. And now the final score is going to be, if this ends 14-14, that half point, like they're going to change the rule. But that's the rule in the current format. And one other thing, Greg, because I got so many tweets that were like, well, then why doesn't the team just get up in the first session and say that they're injured the rest of the way and just withdraw? Well, one, these players would never do that. It would be a complete farce, and that's an insane thing to say. And also, this only applies to the first injury. If there was another guy, if Robert McIntyre also got hurt, that would be a forfeit, and Sam Burns would get the full point. So yes, like everyone knows about this. It just kind of came into fruition today.
And it was the perfect storm that it actually like matters. Like it really might end up mattering in a big way, which is fascinating that it could come down to that. That being said, it is without question fair, and you make a great point about one injury. You can't simply have everything in. You cannot do that, and they never would. In fact, if there's a situation where if he started and withdrew, the envelope rule is not in play.
Correct.
Right? Like if he withdraws in one fairway, it's not the envelope rule. And we even talked about it last night. If they're out there, if the guy that's in the envelope is on 4 green, and the guy is hurt in the 12th match, I don't think it can apply. What if the Americans had Scotty Scheffler in the 12th hole? But I also don't know if those details if it's that finely scripted.
Well, I think it is going to be revised one way or another come 2027. They're going to
they're at least going to look at it
100%.
Because now it's like, okay, this is actually a factor.
Yes, exactly. Now, so the man that was in the envelope for Captain Keegan Bradley was Harris English. Harris English did not play today. He gets awarded a half a point alongside Victor Hovland getting a half of a point.
To me, that's the biggest part of this story.
What's
that? It's revealed that it's Harris English in the envelope.
Yes, which normally this does not get revealed.
No. And look, to be the 12th best American golfer is no shame, but it points a spotlight to me on what we've talked about the past 2 days with Morikawa and English being in a foursomes pairing together. It tells you not only was it the worst possible pairing, but it also tells you that Keegan Bradley had him as your 12th guy. Right. Before the event started. He took his worst player and said foursomes.
Yes.
Which is missing the mark, as we have discussed at length.
As we have.